Okay, we're starting again. All right.
Take two.
Shout out to Omar for letting me know that I didn't press record. Okay. So everybody should have this little guide, okay? I make these for every material, so you should look for it or ask for it if you don't have it in front of you. It's also projected up on the screen, just so you know. Okay, so you need a cup of water. Notice that your water cup is not like super full. You don't need a lot of water, just a little bit. You need a small watercolor brush, so small, not like enormous, but little tiny watercolor brush. In this room, all of the watercolor brushes have a black handle. If you find a brush with a green handle or a red handle or a yellow handle, those are not for watercolor, they're for different materials, okay? So in this room, all of your watercolor brushes are gonna have a black handle. Then you need watercolor pencils. So we try to keep things organized in this bin here that says watercolor pencils, okay? But in this bin, and as you know, people just kind of like turn around and throw stuff in the drawers, okay? So very often there's things in here that are not watercolor pencils, like a regular drawing pencil, a regular yellow pencil, and what else can I find in here that doesn't belong? Sometimes there's crayons. So you even though it says watercolor pencil, you still want to pay attention to what you're grabbing, okay? We have 3 brands, like 3 companies of watercolor pencils. Just like in your shoes, you have like 3 companies of sneakers, or like Nike, Adidas, and Vans, okay? We have 3 different companies that make watercolor pencils, and they look slightly different from each other, but they're all watercolor pencils, okay? The first one is wood with a little color on the end that tells you what it is, okay? The second one is silver with a little color on the end that tells you what it is. And the last one is all solid wood, and unless it's sharpened, you can't tell what color it is, okay? This is the most annoying, because if it's not sharp, you have no idea what color it is, okay? But if you pick up pencils that look like this, that are all color, these are not watercolor pencils, okay? So pay attention to that, because you can do a really cool drawing and expect them to react to water, but if you didn't use watercolor pencils, it's not gonna work. Does that make sense? Okay, so 3 different companies, just kind of train your eye a little bit to see that. Okay, so everybody is gonna to start, we're gonna do like a guided demonstration. So I'm gonna tell you kind of what to draw. We're gonna do 2 paintings today. One is gonna be guided and one is gonna be free. Okay, so just take one of these cards and pass it around. So for the guided demo, you're gonna need that watercolor little card I just gave you, and this, they're all the same. And everyone's gonna need a pencil, and you're gonna just very gently, what? You're just, no, that's 2. It was like on an adhesive pad. You're just gonna draw 2 circles.
With anyone? With any circle?
Okay, so the first thing is to erase your pencil lines so they're really light. Watercolor pencils are a little bit see-through in the end. So if you have really dark pencil lines underneath, they're gonna show.
But if you have like a really good eraser, you just erase it, you know?
I don't think that's gonna happen, but you want your pencil lines to be really light. Okay? So that's the first thing, yep. All right, and the second thing you're gonna do is take any color. I'm gonna start with purple, and I just want you to trace that outline of one of your circles.
Can I use this thing again?
So I'm using purple, and I'm just tracing the outline of one of my circles. Don't fill it in. It can be any color. I'm using purple, but yours doesn't have to be purple. See? All right. Okay. And then you're going to do the other one in a different color. So you're going to have 2 outline circles, one in one color, one in another color. It doesn't matter if it's not a perfect circle anymore. what we're trying to understand is the technique of using watercolor pencils.
You have my pencil.
I don't have to have money.
All right. So you should have outline circles. They're going to kind of look like this.
Let me see.
Outline circles. All right. Now on one of your circles, I want you to kind of gently fill in about, let's say, like 1/4 of an inch using lighter pressure. So just hang on one second. I'm going to show you what it looks like. All the way around. So you're going to press a little bit lighter. Got to check my video. All right, can you see that on the dark circle? If you can't see what I'm talking about, you might want to come up and look closer. Okay, so this is the water part. First of all, watercolor pencils do not go in water. Okay, for the second circle, we're going to do the same technique, but now we're going on the outside of the circle. Outside of the circle. So you're going to kind of like enlarge the second circle by going around on the outside. So again, if you want to come up and look at this one, you're more than welcome to.
So the same thing, but on the outside?
Same thing on the outside of your line.
So hard to draw, right?
Yeah, you kind of have to like temper your pressure a little bit. So outside, there we go. Outside of the circle, so it's enlarging it a little bit, making it a little bit bigger. Okay. I'm just going to show the camera. I'm using a little bit of water and get like most of the water off. So it's just that your brush is wet. Okay. And what you're trying to do here is you're going to kind of make it look three-dimensional. Can you see that? Can you see that? Just dip in. Actually, I think this tiny brush is a little bit too small. You might want to upgrade, but you'll see, because it just matters with how much, what it's going to change is how much water the bristles hold. So if it's drying out too fast, it might mean that your brush is too tiny. So see if you can just take the water around the edge and fill in. You're working on the circle that has the color on the inside.
We're gonna try filling in the circle.
You don't need to fill it in completely, but see if you can keep like a white highlight in the center.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys do.
It's going to kind of look like this.
What? Hers is good.
Pass yours up. This is a good example. You see how it looks like it's three-dimensional? Here's another good example. See how it looks like it's three-dimensional?
I feel like yours is better.
Okay.
I feel like she did to make me feel better.
That's why we're practicing today. All right, ready? We're moving on to circle number 2. Circle number 2, if you feel like now you sort of get what's going to happen and you can think forward to what's going to happen, if you think you don't have enough color on your card, color in, add more color before you start painting, okay? What the heck? Circle number 2, the goal is to keep the inside of the circle completely white. And we're going to make like an outer glow, okay? So same brushing technique, same with a little bit of water, but I want you to keep the inner circle completely white. So just go all the way around your shape and maybe see how far you can spread out that color to make it look like it's glowing.
Yo, this is tough. Okay, so it might kind of look something like this. It should look like pretty clean in the middle
and you can spread it out as far as you can. Just keep rinsing off your brush if you want it to get more and more clear. You can use a bigger brush if you want. Try that. To kind of spread it, but you want that inner space to stay. Now you're going to take your card and we're going to work on like a border. So I just want you to make like 2 zigzag lines maybe that are somewhat parallel to each other. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Something like that, kind of like in line. 2 zigzag lines with any color, not with your drawing pencil.
Oh.
All right, inside, I want you to try to fill inside with water, okay? So I'll show you. So you're gonna try to just put the water in between those 2 lines.
Wait, what are we doing?
Come over and look.
I mean, I'm like right here. Oh, snap, you made it one.
You're just putting the water in between the 2 lines. Remember, you have to pick up the color from the pencil line. All right, so you're doing something like this. It is going to depend on what color you use. If you're using a light gray, it's not going to show up as much as if you're using a dark purple, which is totally fine. Just know that about the colors, okay? So 2 zigzag lines, and I want you to fill in with water between the lines. You will have to adjust the size of the brush that you use depending on how close your lines come together.
Like laid eggs in the gas chest.
This is what it should look like. You should be able to see like a light color with white on either side. I'm sorry, on another edge of the card, you're gonna do like wavy lines, but this time I want you to fill in a little bit more. So it's a little bit more, you have a little bit more pigment, okay? So instead of just lines, like you're coloring a little bit more.
So I'm making it a little darker.
A little darker, a little heavier pressure.
Colored in,
Well, it's not colored in, but it's a little bit
colored in with the pencil.
a little bit darker.
Can I use that purple you was using?
Yep. And here's purple too. Okay. So I think this is the way it was shown before. All right. And now now the color is a little bit filled in, and now I'm gonna add water. Stay within your outer lines.
Outer.
Yes, you stay inside the outer line.
Like you're not just taking your brush and going all over the place.
No, he's doing it right.
You got it right. You're good.
He just didn't get what he meant when he
You done fucked up. You supposed to color the inside of the waves?
But it looks like bacon.
Yeah, you're going like that. Oh yeah, it could
looks
look
like
like
bacon.
it could look like bacon if that's the colors that you chose.
I never seen no blue blanket before.
Well, I mean, if you chose reds, it might look like bacon.
You said draw 3 lines instead of 2, or can we just draw 2 instead of 3?
I want you to fill in a little bit more. The number doesn't really matter.
I'm talking about the waves, like
The,
3. Or
the
2.
number doesn't really matter. Look, look. So I had like 1 on this side, 1 on this side, and like more in the middle. All right, Jen.